Thank you, Pascal, for the music. Let's get back to where we all belong. Welcome to UFI Connects. We don't really belong into the digital space. We all know that we belong together in a meeting room, in a conference, at an event organized by any of us. But hey, it's the best we can do. And happy birthday, UFI Connects. It's the 50th session we are doing. And so thank you all for sticking with us through the last 14, 15 months of the pandemic. Our topic is very appropriately today about Global Exhibitions Day. And this is the session that we do to share with you how Global Exhibitions Day is shaping up and to share some ideas and approaches and give a little bit of background. Pascal is running the slides, so if I could have the next slide, please. Right, as you know, Global Exhibitions Day, we launched it in 2016 as a day of advocacy, a day of activity where our industry stands up and gets counted, where we say we make the invisible giant that is the exhibitions industry around the world visible. We stand tall, we stand proud. We say here we are as an industry and here's what we do for everyone's benefit. Now, this has grown through the years and it's been amazing from year one. Those who were with us in year one remember how we were activating everyone on social media, holding up the GED signs and creating quite some buzz online. This has grown into 2020 last year in the early days of the pandemic, where we couldn't do a lot in person around the world. And we were focusing very much on the digital outreach campaign. And last year with that, we reached 740 million people in the world. And when we crunched through those numbers, we found out that there was more people than watched the moon landing in 1969. So it really became a moonshot project last year to have a Global Exhibitions Day without any exhibition taking place around the world and without anything really to bring people together physically. A big element of that, what was successful last year, will be driving a lot of the activities again this year. So the slide you see here is the link to a resource online where you get materials and infographics and the messaging for this year's GED. And you don't need to write down that whole long link. You can also go to globalexhibitionsday.org and reach these resources from there. So there is every year is the toolkit for all of you to get the messaging, to get the materials, to help us share the message. And the message is a little bit more complicated this year. Pascal, next slide, please. Because we are in so different stages of the reopening of our industry. Now, there are markets like in China that I have been open for a long time again. And I was on the phone this morning with Michael Kruppe from SNIEC, who said, he's hosting shows at their venue that are 10%, 20%, even 30% bigger than their 2019 versions. So, and that without international participants flying into China. So there are parts of the world where business is really, really good. There are parts of the world, like in the US, and I was in America 2.5 weeks ago, where everybody is ready to restart. We've seen shows in Florida, we've seen shows elsewhere, and we will see the world of concrete in the first week of June, actually running on Global Exhibitions Day, I believe, as Nevada reopens with 100% capacity. Well, then there are markets like, I'm sad to say, my home country, Germany, where there's nothing clear yet when and how the industry will reopen going forward. And we just saw some more announcements yesterday from shows going all digital. Gamescom from Köln Messe will take place online only in August. We have to see if shows can run through the fall. We are holding out for the International Motor Show in Munich in September. And we need the reopening dates that other European countries have. So it's a very mixed picture and we need to get the messaging right. And we'll focus a little bit on how we will do that. But besides all that complexity, there are elements of the campaign that we do every year and that I encourage you all to use. And those are these elements of voices of the industry. Here's what the industry means to me. This is why I'm a part of the industry and like it, where each and every person can stand up as every year and show that you're part of the industry and start promoting us as an employer of choice, to showcase the diversity of job profiles and opportunities as we come out of the COVID situation. Because one of the challenges going forward that many people are speaking about is the challenge to find the right people for the next couple of years. Next slide, please. Some inspiration. We will talk about some examples of activation here today. So I won't linger on this slide for too long because we have you on the call a little bit. I think do we have another slide, Pascal, or was that it? Yes. The social works by activating, and you will find on the website again simple guidance how you can use Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube to be part of the action. That was the last slide, right? Yes. So let me introduce to you, with no further ado, the three heroes of today, because I'm just the moderator. Elizabeth will get to you later from IELA, UFI and GED partner from its very beginning. Beth, Cowperthwaite from Emerald, and boy, I've been working on that. Beth, you're the VP Comms for Emerald. Great to have you here, and together with Wallace, hi Holly, who runs corporate comms at Informa, both internal and external comms for Informa markets worldwide. You are members of a group of communication leaders in the industry who have been working hard on aligning the messaging around a broad reopening campaign around the world, just to break that down for Global Exhibitions Day and into your organizations to really activate the show teams to reach out to, well, our customers, essentially, to the people who we are doing this all for. So I'm super curious to hear from the two of you how this is going. And as always at UFI Connects, if you have a question you want to ask, put it into the chat. This is as much as possible a conversation, as much as digital and Zoom allows us to do. If you want to share an example, a plan you have for activation on GED, put it into the chat so we can bring you up a little later. So, but let's get into it. Let me start with you, Beth, in alphabetical order. What's it like to be one of the movers and shakers and makers and breakers of this year's GED campaign, and what are you working on?
It's been amazing, and thank you, Kai, for having us here today to talk about such an important topic. I've been in the industry, in the trade show industry, exhibitions industry for my entire career, going over 15 years. And Global Exhibitions Day has always been very important. It's been something that through the different organizations I've worked for, something that's always been promoted. So I think this year is especially important that through the COVID-19 pandemic and the basic, cease of our industry, and cease in really, economic, social environments all across the world, it's important that for the first time, really, organizers and associations have come together and united as pillars of support for the exhibition industry, for Global Exhibitions Day, coming together and uniting as one force to use our channels, use our voices with Global Exhibitions Day, and really drilling down and amplifying the importance of advocacy, the importance of reopening, the fact that there are events that are reopening safely in stages. And I think the importance of the organizations and associations coming together to unite and have one voice towards Global Exhibitions Day is critical, because there's different stages of reopening. As you had mentioned, Kai, Asia, North America are very different right now than in Eastern Europe and other areas. So I think it's important that the communication leads have come together and are able to come to, create a strategic plan that basically targets all of the different areas and what their needs are right now.
Thank you, Beth. And if I may say so, you have one of the easier parts of activation because Emerald is so focused on the US, but Holly, the world Correct. Is your oyster. Informa is everywhere. So how do you break that down?
Yeah, absolutely. So contrary to Beth's background, I'm quite new to the exhibitions industry. So I came from working in different B2B sectors, construction, health, medical, technology, and so on. And, you know, during my career in corporate communications, I've been involved in many trade shows all around the world as an exhibitor. And really, you know, understanding from that perspective just how important these platforms are in bringing people together. And I think that, you know, this year, it certainly is the first time we're coming together as competitors, which we no longer use that word. We're peers in the industry. And, you know, it's brought about so many benefits already, just working together and on this campaign, but also, you know, learning from one another. It's been such a fast-paced, fast-moving situation. So understanding, you know, how all of the organisers are working alongside the associations has been hugely beneficial. You know, in terms of activating a campaign at a global scale this year, I think everyone's united in our business, certainly, in that this year needs to be a celebration of all of the people who have worked so hard in such a challenging environment over the last year. You know, they've really demonstrated passion and resilience, and you know, that's something that we should definitely celebrate. So that will unite all of our regions across the world this year.
That's great to hear, because as most people here know, I came over from the organizer side, having done the job you do at Informa for a while at Messe Frankfurt, running comms and marketing on the corporate side, and then joined an association driven by that positive experiences, what can happen if collaboration works, and if you can bring together people for a common good. And GED probably is the best example of collaboration across industry that our industry has produced. It's now being challenged by our work together on reopening after COVID, but that's less marketing and more advocacy. So how do we drive the message through the industry?
Well, we've had a pretty robust campaign, and it's only going to get stronger. I think the fact that we have united in terms of organizations and associations, we have one succinct set of messages that we're sending out as a global force, and we're mobilizing so many different channels that it really is the breadth and depth of the world right now, because it is our communication efforts. It is mobilizing our marketing teams, our social channels, and through that amplification of, you know, 9 organizations and 9 associations that are harmonizing and synchronizing our efforts through our channels and our multiple portfolios, our multiple customer segments. That is then basically getting down to our customer core, and they're starting to share that message as well. So I think the real ask and call to action to everyone on this call today, and, you know, going back to their businesses, is, you know, sharing this message with us and joining us and basically amplifying and celebrating our industry, the industry, how we impact small businesses, how we impact you know, the economy and everything that we stand for, and basically, you know, coming and joining us, and, you know, for the next month and a half, or after even Global Exhibitions Day, synchronizing with us and joining our message. And
Kai, I would just add to what Beth said there, that, you know, this year we really wanted to bring in the voice of our customers. So in collaboration across all of the organisers, we've really gone out and worked with our market teams to gather customer testimonials, and, you know, really understand from our customers what it is that they're missing about trade shows where they can't take place around the world, and what they're celebrating in areas where they are able to take place and they have taken place already. So, you know, I think it would be a really powerful campaign this year, with the voice of our customer really coming through very strongly, and, you know, our customers telling the story rather than us as an industry telling the story as well.
Absolutely.
And that makes so much of a difference. as a comms person myself, you can say, hey, we are important. And you can say, hey, look, we're doing a good job. But if the people who you work for say they are doing a good job, the recognition you get and the amplification you get is just so much bigger. So this really is such a huge evolutionary step for the promotion of our industry, to activate our customer base, to say, we need exhibitions to come back. We've benefited from an exhibition that we opened, and look at my order book. I can keep my staff employed for the next year because I went to that exhibition. It's something I personally experienced, that having walked the show floor after the economic crisis 2008, 2009. Remember walking the floor at a textile show, talking to a small Scottish weaver, and I won't try to mimic his Scottish, but he said, so I asked him on the last day of the show, so how was your show? And he said, you know, I had an okay show. I said, well, I said, well, but that's super great, because I came here and thought I would have a poor show. And then he literally got out one of those moleskin things that were new at the time and showed me all his notes and scribbles. He said, I go home knowing that I can keep everyone employed until October. It was in late January. When I came here, I had worked for people for 6 more weeks. And that story stayed with me all through these years, because it is the core of what we do. We give people, we build these marketplaces for people to come and fill their order books, find their innovation, present their products. And why we tend to focus in a lot of the media work and media attention on the big players at the trade shows. It is these 80, 85, 90% small and medium enterprises, the family businesses, the mom and pop shops that rely on what we do to find their market and to do their business. For them, we are the core expense, the core investment in marketing. And to get them share that message makes a world of a difference, because when you talk to politicians, as those on the call on today who've been with us on some of the advocacy work know, the politicians care predominantly about one thing, and that is votes. Votes come from voters. Voters are people. People need to make a living. If we help them make a living, they may vote for the people that help them to be able to make the living. So this is where it all comes together. If we can activate the customer base to speak about the importance of what we do, we will fast track the road to the politicians and into the policy rooms, like we now have them in the US with the new Exhibition and Conference Alliance, and an office in working the corridors of power in DC, like we have it with the Exhibition Industry Alliance in Brussels, where we've been doing that for a number of years, where we have that through all the national associations around the world on the advocacy work. So this is really, really key. Elizabeth, let me bring you in, because you've been very politely waiting till it's your turn. As an association that's been with us from the beginning, how do you see the evolution of GED through the years, and what will make this year super extra special?
Yeah, we have been from day one we have been part of GED since day one, so 6 years, a long journey, and it has been really amazing, you know, how we could just build around one message, just to have an engaged community, just celebrating that day. As an association, of course, is completely different. For example, Informa, or for example, other organizers, how they communicate with exhibitors and visitors and celebrate GED is different as we do from the association point of view. And what I would like just to share with you is how we deal with the exhibition day and which ingredients we have just to make actually GED our own story. And what is important. What we experienced over the past years is just to have a strong why behind it, just to have a strong message, and also just to have clear instructions in order how members can join the campaign and make the campaign theirs, so that it's their own GED and their own celebration. Every single celebration has a power to leverage. We know from our birthdays. And but here is all about, you know, just building a common community experience. So, and if we will just share with you what we have done in 19, 20 and 20, what we are planning for 21, so that you can see the difference. You know, 2019 was the strongest exhibition year in the history. You know, we all remember the amazing figures from time 2019, and we will share with you, you know, what we did in 2019, how we experienced GED in 2020 in middle of a crisis, and what we are planning for 2021 in order just to bring all the community together. So I will share my screen now. And as we all know, you know, our industry had truly the power we have the power to celebrate, and also our industries, you know, it's all about the individual behind it. It's actually when we are when we launch a campaign, what we want is just to reach the individual. And in 2019, it was our campaign was called Share Beyond Limits. And if we go to the next page, we will see what we started in 2019. So can you, Yanis, go to the next slides? So, and in 2019, you know, it was what we wanted just to do is to celebrate GED and to also celebrate the Horizon projects. You know, the Horizon projects was a scientist project where all telescopes from all the world came to one and brought data together. And what we did in 2019 was just to actually bring both stories, GED and the launch of our data room, which is our economic impact study, and to motivate our members to join that campaign. And you can see, for example, in the slide that all, you know, we launched a campaign with telescopes. Every single member had a telescope. And Yanis, can you go to the next 2 slides so that you can see the telescope, so that everybody, all the audience can see that? Yes, that one. Wonderful. So, and all the members from all over the world had telescopes, and we had in total an 85% membership engagement. You know, we are 170 members in 56 countries, and it was really amazing. And yeah, that was an amazing experience. In 2020, the situation was absolutely different. And here was important for us just to actually build a united front under one motto, which was Together Strong. Yanis, if you can just go to the next page where the message strong can be reached, can be seen from the audience. And yes, and we had this gesture, which was, you know, Together Strong, and it was really very well welcome in the industry. The key word here was collaboration. And what we did was just to have in 2020 an online forum where organizers, venue owners, and exhibitors could be part of the discussion. And the main topic was winning confidence back. So that was our 2020 experience. So when we move now, Yanis, to the 2021 campaign that we have launched yesterday, of course, you know, the whole industry over the, you know, the last 12 months have been very difficult for our industry. And actually what we put on a small video for the whole industry was that our industry was 12 months like in polar darkness. So everything was dark. And now we are finally waiting for the sun to rise again. This is why our campaign in 2021 is named GED 2021 Rise Again. Just the idea is, the spirit of the campaign is very simple: following the sun, and following the sun from east to west. So the idea is just engaging and motivating our members to share their sunrises from the east to the west with one single message, which is hope and confidence for the reopenings. They are going to come in most of the regions. So, you know, some regions, like for example in Asia and in the US, you already started with reopenings, and yeah, for example in Europe, in continental Europe, we are still just hoping to start with the reopenings again. So we will be following the sun, and what we hope is actually just to build again a united front under a united message. And in order just to do so, what we need always is just to communicate very, let's say, clearly about the purpose of the campaign, and just to have clear instructions for our members how to join the campaign. So for us, is in the video that we'll share with our members yesterday, was clear. You know, what do you need? Okay, just wake up early, just make a cup of coffee, go outside, just make a picture of yourself during the sunrise, and then share it with the community under the same spirit, which is, you know, GED 2021, Rise Again. So this is what we are willing to do this year. What we want to do is just to let's say motivate every single association, every single organization, just to build their own story around GED, and just to make this celebration theirs, and yeah, just to help just to build the spirit that we all need in 2021 in our industry. So we look forward to seeing you all just joining our campaign, riding the wave of hope and confidence all over the world. So let's GED.
Let's GED indeed. Thanks for sharing that approach, because that is such an important element of the mix, and that's what associations can do. Associations can rally their members behind an initiative to create visibility like that, and whether it's the telescope or it's the Stronger Together. And I spent a week downstairs in the gym before I dared to do that, right? And it was not photoshopped, believe me, but there wasn't much anyway. And so this year I'll find a nice sunrise over the river. I took a sunrise picture at the CISO conference. I'll make sure to share that. But so that's what the associations can do. So, but so many of you here will hopefully join that rallying call when it comes from your association, but also can activate everyone in your respective companies. And so let's go back to the company level, and Holly. So how can you break down that messaging and the activation to the specific show team?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what Elizabeth shared just there is a fantastic idea, and something I'm definitely going to steal with pride. You know, when it comes to activating it across our colleagues who make up about 4,000 people around the world in 30 different countries. So, you know, we really want to get everybody engaged in the campaign, especially this year, as Beth mentioned earlier. You know, the importance of amplifying the message this year is more important than ever before, given the difficult year we've had as an industry. You know, firstly, Informal Markets, we have over 450 brands. You know, they all have their own communities, their own customer bases, and they all reach them in their own targeted ways. So one of the things that we've done within Informal Markets is to firstly reach out to our amazing marketing community for their support, to say, you know, here's what we're trying to achieve. Here are the key messages of this year's campaign. How can we really reach those buyer and seller audiences that they engage with directly by integrating those messages into their own media and PR outreach, their own social campaigns, and their own direct messaging to customers. Secondly, you know, we want this to be a celebration internally. We want our colleagues to really celebrate the industry that they work in and the amazing professionals that they are. within this industry. So we'll be hosting our Informal Markets Awards, so our colleague award ceremony on Global Exhibitions Day as part of a celebration. And we'll also be activating an internal campaign asking colleagues to share their own stories around, what working in the exhibitions industry means to them. I know they're all people, so getting together and meeting up is something they've all really been missing. So we're trying to recreate that in any way that we can this year.
Sounds exciting. And I remember, and many people do, that video of Michael Duck dancing. Say no more, Google it. It's one of the GED highlights of all years. And that's the power of the people being active to motivate their group and for the leaders to step forward and say, hey, this is a day of celebration, so who wants to dance with me? And in the end, everybody dances with and around Michael, and everybody's laughing, not because Michael's dancing, but because they're having a good time. So a great video, go check it out if you haven't seen it already. And in that spirit, likewise, I think Read Mexico 2 years ago did a great single take Queen Don't Stop Me Now video impersonation thing with their Mexico office, which was absolutely hilarious as well. So the power of the people in our industry is so amazing, and the creativity. And I so look forward to seeing that in full spring at this year's GD. But at the same time, Beth, boy, aren't we all tired of doing yet another online thing after the pandemic? And so are there any challenges you're foreseeing in the activation? Any advice you can give to overcome obstacles? Anything that might make it difficult that we could and should be aware of?
Well,
I'm asking you that because you've been in the industry longer than Holly, so you know the people.
Well, it's not, I don't think it's a question of longevity. I think it's a question of how our industry is pivoted and changed as a result of the pandemic. And I think going back to your point, Kai, earlier, it's a question of location and geography, and places where shows have already traded and areas that shows have not traded yet and they're still looking to trade. I think for us at Emerald, the multiple portfolios that we have in the many markets we serve, there have been some shows that we have successfully traded since the beginning of this year and last year. We're really anticipating the Q2 through Q4 2021 calendar year to really start ramping up our live events, in-person shows, healthy, safe, secure environments. But I think that's where the challenge is because we, to your point also, Kai, I speak to our CEO, Hervé, a lot on the customer testimonials, the customer champion of what we're trying to do as an industry. It's so important to have our customers speak on behalf of us and how we are coming back and trying to be that channel to elevate their business, to get them through the pandemic for multiple reasons. So our channel of communication has really been channeling our customers. And whether it is they need to get back to shows or they have gotten back to shows, it's altering that message per the markets we're serving, and basically catering that message to shows and markets that have shows coming up, or regions that are open for shows, and then catering that message to maybe shows are 6 months down the line, or a year down the line they're still in digital form, and help coming in and trying to help their business in the interim before a live event can stage again. And I think that's important, is being able to be nimble and flexible to our customer base, and really going out there and trying to help them succeed and grow in this crazy time of the pandemic, and being a support system no matter what stage we are in terms of recovery, and being their champion and support system. And I think that is not so much a challenge, but I think it's a challenge to us because we want to help our industry, but we also need to be there to rise up and help our customers no matter what stage they're in.
Yeah, and you're raising the complexity again of the different stages of reopening around the world. And I remember when the first shows took place in China, and after 3 months, you saw pictures of show floors that looked like pre-pandemic show floors, packed aisles, and dare I say it, few or no masks. And the conversation that sparked in Europe was, oh my God, how dare they? And the visuals that come out of a market that has been reopened, that has been open again, where infections are under control, where the health measures are working, and so that the measures become less and less visible and more around the show and not on the show floor, is something we have to watch. So the visualization is so important. What is a packed floor a good floor, or is a floor where people are spaced out nicely the better picture right now? So there's a lot of responsibility on all of us to make sure we don't, frankly, mess this up. We make sure to be where the markets are. We be safe, be sound, follow the all secure guidelines, follow the good practice guidance, the UFI frameworks, etc. We've built the rules and we've built the standards as an industry in record time during spring last year. And around the world, the organizers, the show teams, the venues, the associations are convincing the local authorities to let us run our shows again, because we can convince them that we can provide a safe environment. And this needs to be a vital part of the message. And the second point, and that's with that back to you again, Holly. GED is for me this year very much a charging point where we build messaging for these different stages of the reopening, where we rally the industry and where we make this splash on June 2nd. But the work won't stop there, because reopening will go on after that, and the campaign to share that message has to continue. And so we are working on lots of plans beyond Global Exhibitions Day as well. You want to give us a little sneak peek on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So to just back to your first point around building confidence, you know, that is absolutely central to this year's GED campaign. How we're bringing shows back safely and securely, how you know, events that have run in a safe environment, and you know, building confidence not just within our own customer base, but with society at large. Because as you say, you know, anybody can see a picture of a crowded room in whatever circumstance it might be now, and feel nervous about it, having been through the year that we've been through. So, you know, making sure that we build that confidence through our marketing and our media outreach is more important now than ever. And, you know, that's one of the things that has been central to the development of this year's GED campaign with the communications task force, you know, was that we really wanted to reach outside of our immediate industry. So while Global Exhibitions Day has always been a celebration of the exhibitions industry and should continue to be, and that remains central, we really wanted to reach outside and you know, get that customer voice out to the wider market through, you know, broadsheet media and tier one media, as well as through an even bigger social media campaign. You know, can we really reach more than 740 million people this year? I hope so.
No, I was quite proud of that number, but then hey, be my guest, break the billion.
Break the internet, exactly.
Let's get trending on Google.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone, we have around 90 folks on the call, and I know a lot of you are having plans or making plans. If you want to speak up or share in 60 seconds what your plan is within your network, within your company, within your ecosystem. Raise your hand in the chat, because then we see it, because we can't see you all at the same screen all the time. Or you risk us wrapping up the session, and then don't say we didn't ask you to speak. Elizabeth, what is the one thing you look forward to most on June 2nd? And what will you do on that day?
I think, you know, it is indeed important just to spread the word, but it is extremely important to concentrate on our people, on every single individual that they are part of our corporations, associations. And I think if we work on the main purpose, which is our people, and that we concentrate on strength, well-being and confidence, we will have a very successful GED. I think the united front that was built, that Holly and Beth were addressing, it's a united force. And this force spread a lot of energy that is not only important just to cascading the message to our customers, but just to supporting and, let's say, empowering our people, the ones that they really suffer this year. So that's my hope, yeah, to strengthen our people.
That's so true. Holly, Pepe, hello, you raised your hand. Pepe Navarro, Tarsus, Mexico. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Kai, and good morning, everyone. Well, we will be sharing as a company, in Mexico specifically, we will be sharing the success stories that we have had this beginning of the year after being able to produce a show, of course, a show that reached a little bit beyond our expectations. That is good. And we had a lot of testimonial comments coming from visitors. That is very important. And one thing that we found is that what happened is on the first day, we got some people that were like pioneers coming into the show because the perception was, I don't know if it's going to be safe, but once they found out it was a safe place, even safer than an airport, even safer than a shopping center, the word spread. So the second and third day were very good with very high quality visitors, and exhibitors were happy. So we will be sharing those stories to all our social media.
Great, thank you. So let's spread love, not germs. Holly, once you've broken the internet on June 2nd at around noon, what will you do with the remainder of the day?
So in the afternoon, European time, morning for our colleagues in the US, our CEO, along with a few other members of the leadership team, will be starting our Informal Markets Award ceremony, and we'll be celebrating the successes of everybody during 2020. It's quite a large-scale program. It feeds into our overall Informa Awards, which is among 10,000 colleagues. So we're really looking forward to it, and a day of celebration. And yeah, hopefully everyone will have the opportunity to join in. Great, send the link if it's a virtual event, right? And not just for Informa folks, but I've heard legendary things about these Informa Awards celebrations. Helle, welcome to the UFI Connect stage. You're live on camera, and we can hear you.
Live on camera, and I'm a new member, so this is my first Global Exhibitions Days experience.
Okay.
But, it was mentioned that it is so important that we influence our politicians. And if possible, I would advise everybody else, but I'm sure you already do it. But our CEO has been, this is from Bella Center Copenhagen, our CEO has been member of the Governmental Advisory Council for opening Denmark for trade shows, theater, sports, etc. And this is a very powerful position and has proven very successful. And we are actually opening up as of today. So we can gather up to 2,000 people at a time in sections of 500, but that's really great and very new. And it's going to be really exciting to see how people are going to storm into theaters, cinemas, sports events, etc. So if at all possible, do try to influence your politicians, because that really, really makes a difference. What we're doing towards our clients is that we really try to let them know and understand that we will work with them. Also to communicate to them what we are doing, because they really need to know, how are you helping us? We are a venue. So how can we help our customers, trade show owners? How can we help them succeed with their shows?
Thank you, Helen. Mange tak.
You're welcome.
My wife is Norwegian, but my Danish is not as good as my Norwegian. This is great news, because I know I owe my son a trip to Legoland in Billund that we couldn't do last year. So I can't wait for Denmark to be fully open again.
Okay, but it will.
I owe him big time.
You're so welcome.
Congratulations on reopening. And that is indeed, those are these waves of lights that we see across Europe. Shows took place in Spain, Denmark now with that move, the UK with the reopening date, Italy with the reopening date, and other markets will surely follow through as well. Beth, all this is, I mean, reopening dates. You are open in the States. What are you going to do on June 2nd, personally?
Well, June 2nd, I love, Elizabeth, the idea of being with your people. And, you know, I have definitely found a new alliance, a new group with the task force, the communications task force for GED. But I think on June 2nd, in addition to trying to connect with as many of my team members at Emerald as possible, and unfortunately will probably be virtual, I'm looking forward to seeing or meeting a lot of them in person over the course of 2021 and beyond. Another thing that's taking place on June 2nd in the US is Legislative Action Day. And what that is part of, very much like Global Exhibitions Day, the Exhibitions and Conferences Alliance, the ECA, which is linked to UFI, and basically an advocacy group that is connected, and the umbrella of Go Live Together and Exhibitions Mean Business have a Legislative Action Day, and that's June 1st and 2nd. And it is for advocacy, amplification of advocacy towards the exhibitions industry. There is a separate campaign going out to support advocacy, to sign up, and then also to try and push legislative. So that is happening in the US June 1st and 2nd, in addition to celebrating and amplifying Global Exhibitions Day, and really trying to connect with my Emerald people, and celebrating the slow reopening of our business, and moving into the rest of the year in trading safe and secure events. I do know about Informa Markets Awards, and it is quite an event. So Holly, I wish you and your team and the entire Informa Markets a wonderful awards day, because it is quite fun and exciting.
Thank you, Beth.
And we all do, and it's for all of you, just to have in mind that today we have Holly and Beth, and these are just two of this group of comms leaders that are working together with their colleagues from Tarsus, Diversified, Reed, Clarion. I always forget half of them. Our own Mina from the UFI side, and the energy you get from this group is just wow, just so great. And we're in good hands there when it comes to the activation. Thanks for all the work you're personally putting into that. From the UFI side, the amazing thing is, as Joanne will know, Global Exhibition Day always starts at 001 a.m. in Sydney and ends at 23:58 in Hawaii. And overall, those are 44 hours. So don't think it's 24 hours. Don't think it's just a day. It's almost 2. So for the UFI team, we're kind of stretching out, and usually it ends with a very red-eyed me calling the shots at noon on the day after, saying, Hawaii has left the day. And everybody takes a deep breath, and then we work on the summary release with some of the highlights that we've been capturing around the world. But in that spirit of it rolling over, again, this year will pretty much be about getting us all ready to sing from the same hymn sheet, to have the same messaging, to have one voice as an industry, wherever we are in the world, through these 3 stages of reopening. Getting the license to operate back as we bring the infection numbers down, managing that reopening well, and overcoming that very understandable existing questions from our customers about returning to the floor, showing them how we can do that safely. And then where shows have been open, celebrating the successes. So this won't be over. Even when Hawaii leaves the day, it will continue a long time afterwards. And thank you all already for being part of that. Pascal, can I have the closing slides, please? Thank you. Again, if there are questions after this session today, reach out to us. If you want to share some thoughts or some notes you took, feel free to share them on social media. And if you have other comments, also message us as well. Next slide, please. Upcoming UFI events, I'm very happy to not just say, and our next digital events will be, because, hey, I'll go to Dubai later this month for our first in-person event in 15 months. We run our regional conferences like every year. The Asia Pacific one we have to do online because of the travel restrictions across Asia. The European one we have to do online because in early June, Europe won't yet have these digital certificates and travel will not be open again. But Dubai is open and you can move relatively freely throughout that region, and you can get to there from the US and from some European countries. So we're hosting our Middle East Africa conference in person on site at Dubai World Trade Center on May 26. And hey, if you want to be there with me, come on over if you can and if you have a way in. It's you need a PCR test before boarding, and then you can get tested again on site. And we'll make sure to have the health and safety protocols that we are preaching to the industry in place, of course, as well. But also by no means miss, if you're interested in Asia Pacific, that event coming up online, focused on a day on May 20, and in Europe, 2 half days on June 9 and 10. Next slide, please. Thank you, as always, in closing, to our diamond sponsors. No, the pandemic is, of course, tough for everyone in the industry, but we've been able to pull through at full strength with the full UFI team, working harder than ever. And that's to a large degree also thanks to the support we get from our sponsors. So thank you to TCEP, thank you to Qatar, thank you to Shenzhen World, and to Freeman. And there, the new Freeman logo, because they had a rebrand last week, and we are in the process of updating their logo everywhere. And Holly and Beth, I know you know what that means. One more slide, no more slides. That's it from us for today. That was the 50th UFI Connects. The 51st UFI Connect will be up soon. Please check ufi.org/UFI Connects for the announcements. This session will be up there to watch on demand as usual, as soon as we can, by tomorrow, most likely. Everybody have a great GED, and thanks for joining us today.